A short ferry ride from Vancouver, Victoria is a beautiful tourist destination. Architect Doran Musgrove's appreciation for the work of Frank Lloyd Wright inspired him to follow his vision for what is now the Morningside B&B.
Morningside is located being in Finlayson Arm. It's what we call West Coast Mediterranean. We get very hot, dry summers, mild and moist winters.
It's peaceful, it's quiet, it's close to the city, but when you come down here, it's like being 100 miles away from anybody, and I just love it.
The client asked me, "Who's your favorite architect?" And I said, well, it has to be Frank Lloyd Wright. And that was my inspiration to do the buildings I have here. The front entrance is a very pivotal point to the building. You come down what I call the grand staircase, and you're looking at a very deep horizontal overhang. There's two elements at the entry. There's the stone column coming up with the steel beam. And those are to give you a hint, an understanding of the structure of the building. And then you're faced with this double set of doors, and that overhang is again a Wrightian characteristic, where you come through a low entry, and then when you get into what we call the Great Room, it's a two-story space with clear-story windows. You're in a two-story room and you've got this massive fireplace. And what we've done on the fireplace is we've taken rocks, very large rocks from the site, laid them on the ground to become the hearth, and then built the floor to the stones. So that it looks like the fireplace itself and the hearth itself comes out of the ground, and then the stone carries up for the 2 stories. Once you go beyond the dining room, you're now into the kitchen. We orientated the kitchen on the pivot point of the house with all its glazing, again, looking south and east to the view. Any sort of redundant items were basically put behind you. And again, even though you're in the kitchen, the view is still the all-important aspect of the room. The beauty of the stairs is when you're going up the stairs, to your right you have a large glass block wall. As you go up the stairs, you come into a triangular skylight. At the top of the stairs is the master suite of their resort. It's an amazing suite. It's got a cantilevered valance. It's got a vaulted ceiling. And again, we've used the same rock and created an absolutely massive fireplace, which again dominates the room. Behind the fireplace is a number of rooms, including a very nicely done bathroom with a steam room, a jacuzzi. The creating of the resort was an interesting exercise because, of course, we had to adapt the plan in a semi-complete building to new uses. What was essentially a single-family dwelling into a very upper-ended scale resort. But luckily we adapted the home at a stage where it was still a rough diamond.
And it's a great place for people to come, you know. Their busy lives and the hustle and bustle of the city, and when they come down here, that's just, you can almost see them when they see it. They just relax. And we just enjoy having people around, and it's just a great place for people to come on vacation.
I think what Wright has done to influence this project is to think about it not so much as a piece of architecture in terms of its form, but think of it as an architecture of place. And so we have this retreat to this cove that's on, you know, beautiful setting, steep elevational change to come down to it. Difficult to build because you've got the sea on one side, you've got rock face on the other, and yet you weave into that this special place.
I think the house and the style works as a retreat or as an in-retreat because the way it handles the landscape. It tucks itself in around the rocks and it produces those wonderful terraces for what is really quite stunning, almost Zen-like in its quality. So its greatest success is it hasn't pushed itself out there to take over nature. It's been able to be quite stylish but still pull itself in. So in that extent, I think it's been successful.